book. This is a good book if you like Shakespeare, if you like Romeo and Juliet, if you love enemies to lovers like I do. I think I think enemies to lovers is my favorite trope. I just love it so much. It's just the passion, the intensity, the hatred, the love. Oh my goodness. So yes, guys, this was my first book by Miss Olivia Blake, and I can't wait to read more books by her. She did a phenomenal job, and wow, I want to compare this to really rich dark chocolate. It's meant to be devoured slowly and, very delicately and really savored. It shouldn't be rushed. It's not a book that you want to rush. You kind of want to read it slowly, and just because it's really like art. It's very beautiful, and yeah, I just recommend you to read it slowly. If you like A Court of Mist and Fury, then you would like this because of the deep romance and the deep quotation marks. I marked up so many quotations, it's not even funny. Oh my gosh, it had me squealing, it had me curling my toes. If you love revenge, if you love rivalry, if you love deception, OMG. My favorite character in this book, all of the characters are very, oh my goodness, I'm falling apart. All the characters were very profound, very interesting. But my favorite character was definitely Bryn, the bridge. He was definitely my favorite character. He really gave Rumpelstiltskin vibes. And one of my favorite shows is Once Upon a Time, and I really loved Rumpelstiltskin in there. So Bryn really gave me Rumpelstiltskin vibes. This book has magic, witches, drugs, fantasy. I think they were in Manhattan, so it's giving a modern day Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, which was so cool. We're getting cell phone usage, texting, but then you also have this magical element to it. Beautiful. Oh my god, the illustrations in here, exquisite details that reminds you of Romeo and Juliet. You could really tell that she took her time with this book, and that she really just is a fan of Shakespeare. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. The translations, the deeper meaning between what the character said, the deception, the madness, the haunting. I was here for it. So I definitely gave it 5 stars. I think it's the perfect time to read this. You do get a little spooky in here, and yeah, so I'm so happy that I read it, and I can't wait to read more by her because this was just so beautiful. And Lev, Roman, even Baba Yaga, all the characters were so cool. Sasha. This was just such a fun ride. Really enjoyed this book. So yes, I would definitely recommend you guys to read One for My Enemy if you have it on your list to read. Bump it up a little bit. Bump it up 5 slots. You might as well just put it as your next read, because I enjoyed it so much. I really did. It was so good. And it was just the passion, the drama. I was here for everything. The next book that I read in October was The Maid by Anita Prose. Another 5-star read, and that's on period. I really liked The Maid. It was a nice, interesting mystery. I feel like if you've read Eleanor Oliphant, it's completely fine. And if you enjoyed that book, and if you enjoyed Eleanor, then you would definitely enjoy The Maid, because Molly, she was pretty much like Eleanor in the same way. And it was just a very interesting experience reading like Molly's character. So interesting how she was very smart and noticed certain things, but her social skills were lacking. So that was very interesting. And then I would say I didn't predict the ending, so that was very interesting. Like it didn't even cross my mind. So I really enjoyed that part because I was actually kind of shocked with the ending. But yes, this was just a really funny mystery, and I really enjoyed it. I'll read my review real quick. So I said, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. This book was such a good egg. Molly the maid was such a fun and interesting character to read, and she reminded me of Eleanor Oliphant. And then I said, I am happy that I finished this book in my Cups of Tea PJ shirt, and that I finished that, and now I'm going to drink some Earl Grey tea, which will most certainly not be in a styrofoam cup. So yes, that's pretty much sums up my feelings for The Maid. It was just a good, feel-good, quirky mystery to read. So yes, and I just really liked the hotel setting as well. So just like, wow. Yeah, so I can't wait. And guys, there's a second book coming out. I think it's coming out this month. Hold on. Let me see. I added it to my Goodreads. So I have to go see. But yes, I was so shocked. I'm like, not book 2. Yes, so it's called The Mystery Guest. And I'm so excited. Like, look at the cover. Ooh. Okay, I don't know when it's coming out. It's coming out November 28th. Ooh, that's exciting. Okay, I'm sorry. But yes, so I'm excited to read book 2 just to see how everything's going to play out. I don't even want to know the synopsis of it. I'm just going to pick it up and read it because I don't want any context. But yes, really enjoyed that book. The next book that I read was yes, another banger. This whole month was just filled with bangers, filled with 5 stars. So the next book that I read was by the one and only James Patterson. You know, that is my guy right there. That is my favorite author, one of my favorite authors. I was reading him since I was little, so I love me some James Patterson. And I read Instinct. So yeah, this was very interesting. This was how can I explain this? It was giving Saw. So that's what intrigued me the most, because it was talking about playing with your life. It's a game of life and death. And you have like this mastermind giving the police detectives clues for the next murder. So I was like, ooh. And I love Jigsaw and Saw in general, and the whole concept of that. Like, maybe you could stop me if you were smart enough to catch my clues or understand the puzzle and the pieces and all of that. So I really enjoyed that. It was very thrilling. And the murders were very gruesome as well. I was like, ooh, okay. They were very gruesome, and the murderer was called the dealer. Yes, so the serial killer's name or like persona was the dealer, and I was like, ooh. So yeah, the whole concept of this book was so cool. Once again, you have like these cool detectives, and then psychologist professor. He was helping with the case because he was kind of like involved. He was one of the dealer was playing with this professor as well, and was trying to get him to, if he was testing him to see if he was smart enough to stop him, basically. Like, it was a cat and mouse type situation mixed with Jigsaw and these gruesome murders. So I definitely gave that bad boy 5 stars because James Patterson. Yes, sir. He just writes his characters so interesting, and their dialogue. He does dialogue so just perfect. So yes, the next book I read was I read The Honjin Murders by Shichi Yokomizo, and he is a famous author in Japan, and there's only a few of his books that are translated in English. So this was the first one in the series that was translated in English, so I was really excited. But number one, it had me at the cover. I said, oh, this is perfect for spooky season, perfect for October. And yes, and then when I picked it up, my librarian was like, yes, this is written really good, and the author is a very famous Japanese author, and yes, I was really excited to dig my fingers into this series. And so the main detective, his name is, I just call him Detective K because that's what helps me. But y'all, this was so good. It really gave me like Agatha Christie vibes, and it was just a really interesting mystery, and you kind of underestimate the detective because he seems kind of disheveled and just a mess, and he's like disorganized, and his hair is all ruffly, but he's the smartest thing around. So I love that. He definitely gives, if you watched Death Note, he definitely gives like L vibes. So that's all I needed to know. So yes, definitely 5 stars. I'm not even gonna really say too much, but just know that there was like a murder on a wedding day, and they're trying to figure out who was the killer, basically. So that's all I'm gonna say. But I was shocked, and I did not guess the ending. I was like mind blown. It was wild. Let me just tell you that. Alright, and so of course your girl had to read book 2. So I read the second book in the series. So this is what this one looks like. And the second one was, I was most intrigued by this one. So yeah, I was like, I really want to read this one, but I was like, let me read the first one first, which I suggest you would do, but you don't have to do it. But I mean, it does help if you read the book 1 first, but you don't have to. But y'all, I was so excited to read this one. So this one is called Death on Gakumon Island. Y'all, this one was so good. It takes a little bit of, what I'm trying to say. I would say give it maybe to page 50 or page 60, because at first it's a lot of, setting up the scenes, meeting characters, but then after you get past like maybe page 50 or 60, child, that's when the gears start turning. And I enjoyed this book, the second book, more than the first book, and I already enjoyed the first book. I gave the first book 5 stars. So, but yeah, I liked the second book a lot more than the first book because I love the setting. I love islands. I love the superstition of islands. I love just how secluded it is, and the bond between the island people and how they kind of govern their own selves, and the rumors and the gossip. So I love islands. I love that setting. So child, when you tell me there's a murder on an island, I'm here for it. So yes, 5 stars, baby. Next, I read Vladimir. Oh man, I gave that 4 stars. Man, I broke the streak. We was on a 5-star streak. But yes, so I read Vladimir. This book was recommended to me by my librarian as well, because she knows I like spicy spice. And I am in my 20s, but yeah, she knows I like spicy spice. So she was like, I think you would like this. And my cover was different from this cover. My cover was just all green. So but yes, I gave this 4 stars, and let's see. So I put on my review, I said that this was an experience. Wow, I can't even describe what I just read. This woman's imagination and fantasies were spicy. I had a time reading this, and I enjoyed reading about mature affairs. This was a spicy roller coaster, and that is what it was. And if I would have to describe this book, it would definitely be Will and Jada Smith's entanglement. This is what this was. This was an entanglement. Yeah. But it was with like maybe people in their 50s and 60s, and these were like professors. So it was very interesting. You had 2 professors who taught at the same college, and it was like a smaller college. and they had pretty much an agreement to an open relationship, basically. And yeah, and then the main thing though is that the husband that they both work at this college, he's being accused of like using his power and having relationships with his students. So I was like, ooh, Chile. So yes, it's this whole thing, but then like the students are adults because it's a college, so it's like this whole thing. But then the wife, she finds herself liking a new professor that's a little bit younger. I think he's like in his 40s or something, I don't know. And yeah, she likes him, and it's just a whole mess. So yeah, and they're like English professors, so they like to write, and obviously they're very like imaginative. But yes, this was quite a ride, because I was just, the whole time I was like thinking, is something going to happen with the wife and the new professor whose name is Vladimir? And that's pretty much all I came for. That's why I gave it 4 stars, because it was kind of slow during some parts, and I didn't really care about the daughter's life, because that's what they had, a whole family as well. They had a daughter, and then Vladimir had his wife and his little baby or something. So yeah, these people had like already had their own families. So that was wild. So yeah, I didn't really care about the wife's daughter as much, and I feel like that took too much part of it. Took a lot of in the book, and I was just like, I'm not really here for this. I'm trying to figure out if she gonna get with Vladimir or not. So that's why I gave it 4 stars. And I also felt like the ending was kind of rushed, and it had too much going on. I feel like she just put a little bit too much in the end. It just didn't need all that either. But other than that, it was good. So I give it 4. I like the writing. The writing was chef kiss. Okay, y'all. So we're gonna be rolling. We're gonna be moving on back to the 5-star. So this one I actually have. So this is still a library book, but it's due back later or whatever. But y'all, my baby, my Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I do know that I'm on the late show. The copyright date of this is 2016. So yes, I'm on the late show. But that's only because what am I trying to say? I was a little nervous to read it because it's not by J.K. Rowling. So I was like, I don't know. But it was splendid, actually. I read it in 2 days. So that's pretty amazing. I read it in 2 days, but it's pretty easy to do. It's literally a play. So let me show you guys. Like, you have acts and scenes, and I love that. It's a play. I feel like I can imagine everything better. And man, talk about bringing the Harry Potter world back to life. The nostalgia. You guys I'll upload my reading vlog of this, and it just really brought me to tears. Just the magic and bringing these characters back to life, especially like Dumbledore, Snape, Hagrid. Man. And when I started reading the book, I went to Walmart, and guess what I saw at Walmart, y'all? I wouldn't believe it. I saw Harry Potter decorations, like pillows, hats, cups. I was like, wow, what a sign. But yes, I don't know, it just really gives me the cozy vibes. I love like watching. Yeah, and this was my like first Harry Potter book that I read. Usually I just watch the movies, and I don't know, I just like having like a Harry Potter marathon and having like my hot chocolate. It's something about watching it during like November, December that just really hits the spot. So I gave it 5 stars, and yeah, it did what it had to do. To me, I liked it. The reviews are kind of low, but I was like, I don't know, I liked it. Mainly people gave it 3 stars, but I gave it 5 stars. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I liked it. So let me tell you guys what I put on my review. I said, I don't care what nobody says, I love this book. I don't know how a Harry Potter fan couldn't just shed tears of joy on several occasions while reading this play. And then I said, everything was on point. The way this play had me traveling back in time to my younger self, being in love with Harry Potter and the Wizarding World. And then I said, thank you for recreating the magic. So yes, I enjoyed this play so much. I felt like it was done amazing. I also love Back to the Future, so it was like a perfect mixture. Yes, I just love it. Just wow. It really brought me to tears on multiple occasions. So, yes. For me, I give it 5 stars. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But the next book I read was... Finally, y'all. I finally read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Woo, this was intense, y'all. This was intense. Pretty much all her books are intense. I'm no stranger to Miss Colleen Hoover. I really appreciate her writing and I really love her books. I own Hopeless. I own November 9th, which November 9th was my first Colleen Hoover book. And when I tell you, this was such a ride. I love Ben. She does dual perspectives, the male and then the girl perspective, so good. I'm just like, I'll be eating it up. And she makes the guys just so, I don't know. And there's always just so much drama, but like so much passion as well that I just really love. So I love November 9th. And then I read Hopeless, which I also enjoyed. Hopeless was my last book that I read in 2022. So Hopeless was my final book that I read in 2022. And then I think Reminders of Him was my first book of 2023. So that was pretty cool. And I loved all 3 of these. And then I read Verity, which I got from my library, which Verity blew me away. But y'all, this ended with us. And it ended me. That's what it did. It ended me. Woo! When I tell you how my heart shattered to like 50 billion pieces, that's what it did. I will be uploading my reading vlog and you will understand what I'm talking about. That's all I have to say. But I definitely gave this 5 stars. You already know. I feel like I can't even say that much. Just watch my reading vlog because, wow. But when I tell you I was heartbroken, I was heartbroken. When I tell you I was shooketh to my core, I was shooketh to my core. It was all in the organization of this book. That's what made this book just so earth-shattering. It was the layout. The layout of this stabbed me in the heart, man. Stabbed me in the heart. And then it just twisted it. Once Colleen Hoover stabbed me in the heart, she twisted that dagger, man. That's all I gotta say. And then the last book that I read was on my Kindle. So this book, I'm so happy. Well, yeah, this book keeps kind of trailing in each month, so I was really happy to, finish it this month. And that was Sleeping Cutie by Tanzania Glover, and she's a Black author, so that was pretty amazing. This is my first book by her, and I'm definitely going to read more by her. But yes, this was book 2 in the Faded Fairy Tales, and I'm a sucker for retellings. So that's exciting. I really love Emily McIntyre, like Twisted, Hooked. So I love retellings. I already told you guys I love Once Upon a Time. So yes. So I was really excited about Sleeping Cutie. I was like, ooh, I'm very intrigued. So it was pretty much like Sleeping Beauty, but in the real world with Black characters. So I was like, yes. And the whole series is like, I think the other one is dealing with Cinderella retelling, and then the other one was, I think, Rapunzel retelling. So that's interesting, but it's all the same. It's 3 brothers, so they're all kind of talking about their own relationship, but then they all have their own issues within the family. So it's just a good time. And the dialogue between Chris and Amber was hilarious. I really had such a good time reading Chris and Amber. They were so funny together, and yes. And my favorite part was when Chris was braiding Amber's hair. I was like, yes, that's what I like. But yeah, they were just really funny. #Black Love. And then I said this book was very creative and fun to read, and I really enjoyed this take on Sleeping Beauty into the real world. Chris' voice and tone was on point, and I love how Amber was teaching Chris to love himself and not blame himself over I'm not gonna spoil that, but yeah, and their bond and their friendship was so beautiful to see, and their banter was hilarious. When I tell you it was hilarious, I was cracking up on every page. But it also had a lot of serious and deep topics as well. Like, even just the way they met was just wild. It dealt with a little bit of like police brutality. So like how the way they met was just out of this world. But yes, I really enjoyed Sleeping Cutie. I can't wait to read more by her. And so pretty much it was all but one was 5 stars, so that's pretty good. And the other one was just 4 stars. So I think October was a really good reading month. I think it was really, really good, and that's really all I got to say, y'all. October never fails me. And just stay tuned for my November TBR. That's gonna be very interesting, you guys. So I'll catch you guys later. And